they are a little bit confusing, right? Like in the case of first, that the truth is unique. I think the only absolute that was not correct, but then it is given in the video that it is
No,
unique, concrete. Even the
three are
plural was
there.
also given this. So then it is confusing here.
Plural was not given, right? What I remember, if I remember correctly. So answer is unique, relative, and concrete. Plural and
No, no.
absolute are.
Absolute
I
is
have
not there. Yes,
also,
yes, yes. Absolute is
I
not
have
there.
also, I have also had the problem that we thought that only there will be only one answer for the question. Later we came to that we have to answer multiple answers. We have to take the multiple answers which are correct answers. But we thought that there is a multiple choice question, so we have to answer only one question, one answer for that. So that thing was there in the earlier assignment what we had. So later we
Mhm.
came to know that there are multiple answers. We have to tick the multiple answers.
Okay, I think then you are confused. You are confused that there was no proper guideline or no proper statement was there. That
Uh,
is okay.
in the
So
beginning,
yeah.
later
Exactly.
in the discussions, we came to know that that is the thing. But
Hmm.
by that time, we have submitted the first
Yeah, I
assignments.
understand. Like
Mm.
yeah, but I think what I can understand from here that you should be able to understand that these are matching with multiple things. So then, I
Mm.
mean, then you could have write back to a course instructor or so. Then I think it would have been clarified. But yeah, I mean, if it was there, so then that was a problem. But I hope now you have understood. So from the
Yeah, yeah, we
next
have
thing, it
understood.
will be yes, yes.
Sir, wherever squares are given, that is multiple answer question.
But not all,
Uh,
not just like that. All the answers in the rectangle they are correct. Some of
Yeah,
them.
so so
Uh,
their confusion is it is not mentioned correctly. It is not mentioned in verbatim. So that is the problem. So okay, I think I mean that is a fair confusion, and I hope from the next you have not done that. What he has found out that is actually true that when it is a square box, these are multiple. When it is a round box, so then at that point of time, these are same. So I
Sir,
think now
question
you
number 9. Just
yeah.
show the question number 9, sir. Sir, in that lecture, I have seen that something may be unknown today, but everything in this material world is knowable. So that's why I means give that answer that matter is anything that is knowable.
Matter is anything that is knowable.
That is knowable. So in lecture, I have heard that something may be
Yeah,
unknown today, but everything in this material world is knowable.
yeah, that is correct. But that is, I mean, if you look at the options here, that will not perfectly fit. So matter is anything that exists independent of our consensus, consciousness. So that will be the case. Now, I think I don't know, like, but that is the case. If
So
you
that's why a
put
little bit confused, sir.
no, that knowable is also given in that. Knowable is also given that. And the most test was given that the matter is independent of the cautious consciousness. But
But
then this
how
option was
do I
also
know
there.
that thing that which answer is correct or which one is
That's why I'm saying no. That's why that is all confused. And then
yeah, that
there
is
is
that
all
is the confusion.
and the in lecture
they are
video.
all confusing questions, sir.
Yeah, this is bit I mean I agree with you that this is bit confusing, but yeah, so since this is a single, so now it is clear that since these are round boxes, I mean round spheres, rounds are there, so then the single answer question, then you have to choose the I mean the proper one. So that's why I'm saying that you have to go to the best one, that is best possible options that is there. So
And that
and
question
I
was
think
also confusing. I was listening to you. This as the Mary Curie she performed that experiment. That is the emission of the radioactivity. So all the
mhm.
four methods they were included in that.
Mhm.
But then uh, nobody can think that the question, the answer will be of all the four
No, no.
methods.
Here, what question was given in here? Only one answer was there. That was method of agreement.
Agreement,
But
yeah. Uh,
yeah. So that is okay.
uh,
So here also it is given. So now
but
I
you
did.
explain that.
Can I say something about question number 9?
Yes, please.
Yeah, because like idealists say like if only I see something and all that, but in materialist, the servers have been saying there are small particles which pass through our body, which is invisible, but it exists. So that is why it is matters anything which exists in independent of our consciousness. Even if I cannot see in a microscope, if I can see that exists. That is why the third option.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. So, I mean, yeah, that is true. So, any confusion? Any other like? So, yeah, that is okay. Now you are saying that. What you are saying. So you are saying about confused about this Marie Curie experiment. So in that case, I would say that. So these things that I discussed, that might help. That might come in the exam or something. So that's why I discussed all those methods. So that is the thing that they have used all the methods for a for the uh, uh, discovery of this radioactivity, and this is a kind of a story. So that's why I discussed that. But here the question that was asked, that was only answer was there, that is method of agreement, and that was only from Becquerel, not Marie Curie's part was there. So maybe I will discuss the assignment one questions of last year next week. I'll try to see that whether those are really different or not. If those are all different, so I will discuss those if some important questions are there. Try to discuss in the next class.
Sir, can you please, in short, tell us about the method of difference and residues with respect to Marie Curie's experiment? Question number 5. Concomitant and concomitant variation and agreement is clear, but slight difference means confusion between the last two options.
Okay, okay. So here, what there was that the which mix method did Becquerel employ to conclude that presence of potassium uranyl sulfate is the cause of radiation. So here the answer is method of agreement. So what Professor Becquerel found out that the presence of potassium uranyl sulfate was the cause of this radioactivity, and that was the discovery of that, and that's why it was method of agreement. Now you're confused about the method of difference and residues. So in case of method of difference, so there are two cases. Like I said, after the discovery of this potassium uranyl sulfate, that is that it was radioactive. So Marie Curie started doing experiment that whether this is the property of elemental property or a compound property, compound as such, that potassium uranyl sulfate. All three elements are there, so that is a compound. That's a particular
Uh-huh.
compound, you understand, and or whether these are the property of individual potassium or uranyl sulfate. So from there, she has concluded that this is the elemental property of uranyl, not potassium. Okay. Now this was clear. So the point was that then she tried to understand that whether now it is okay. It is known that uranyl is uh, radioactive. Now she
Mhm.
tried to find out whether only uranyl is radioactive or some other elements are there. So there she tried to search and analyze different compounds and elements as well. And from there, she has found out one component, that is thorium. And then she concluded that only
अभी भी
when
चार बजे
u-
तक
uranyl, uranyl and thorium is, someone please mute yourself, please unmute. So when uranyl and thorium is present in the medium or in the component or in the compound, that time it is showing radioactivity. And when these are not present, either of these is not present, so then those are not showing radioactivity. So then she concluded, okay, so now thorium and uranium both are responsible. Since the presence of both uranium and thorium are responsible for radioactivity, it came under the method of difference. Okay, so this is the first point. Now the second thing that she had done was uh, she was clear now that this uranium and thorium are radioactive. Okay, so it will be like that. This summation, whenever we take a compound, they are like the component, the summation of radioactivity of uranium and thorium will be the radioactivity of the overall compound or the combination of compounds. that should be the case if only if that their uranium and thorium are radioactive. No other thing is radioactive. So in all the analysis, so she has done different compound. She analyzed different compound, and she found out that in all the cases except pitch blend, in all the cases, this conclusion was correct. That one the summation of the radioactivity summation of uranium and thorium were the radioactivity of the element or compound. Compound. Sorry, compound. So, but when in case of pitch blend, the radioactivity was surpassing the individual radioactivity of uranium and thorium. So, in that case, she has done multiple times that, and she found out the same result, and then she concluded that there must be some other radioactive element that is that is resulting in the excess radioactivity that is present there. So in that case, she has discovered this polonium and radium. Those two are the element that later found out that these are responsible for this excess radioactivity that was present there in the pitch blende along with uranium and thorium. So that's why. So after discarding all the possibilities, she is coming at the end and concluding that okay, one element is there, some element is there that is causing the excess radioactivity. That's why it is coming under the method of residue. So these are the basic differences, like for the method of residue or the method of reference for this Marie Curie experiment. Clear?
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now we'll we'll go to this part. What is logic, proposition, and statement. Okay, so what is logic? The study of methods and principles used to distinguish correct from incorrect. So this is basically logic, you know. So you have to discard the to, to unveil the truth or to reach the truth or the absolute thing, you have to go to logical analysis. So there the incorrect will be discarded and correct will be taken, and from that you will reach to the truth, and that will be called logic. So logic is the analysis of appraisal of arguments. Logic is useful tool to clarify and evaluate reasoning, whether in on deeper questions and everyday topics. So, okay. Now, second thing is proposition. Excuse me. So, proposition is a statement which is typically asserted using a declarative sentence, or like. So, it is better to say first a statement. A statement is a proposition which is typically asserted by a declarative sentence, but not the sentence itself. So the statement can be true or false, but it should be some kind of declaration. So that is called statement. And proposition is a statement in which typically asserted a declarative statement, and hence always either true or false, but there will be some kind of affirmation. Okay. So this is true or either true or false. That affirmation is there in the proposition, but in case of statement, that is not there. So these are proposition and statement. Both are very close, but uh, I mean they are categorically some different. Now, argument, inference, conclusion, and premises. So first is argument. Argument is any group of a proposition of which one is claimed to follow from the other, which are agreed as providing support or grounds for the truth of that. Inference is the residue that you are coming after all analysis, a process by which one proposition is arrived at the affirmed at the affirmation on the basis of some kind of proposition or propositions. So this is you are discussing something, or then you are discarding one by one, and then you are coming to the logical analysis, and you are coming to the conclusion that okay, this is the cause, and so this is the effect. This cause, sorry, this effect is the cause of that. So this effect is due to some that cause. So this is the inference that you are drawing. So this is inference. You know these things. Like now the conclusion. in any argument, the proposition to which the other proposition in the argument is claimed to be to give support, or for which they are given as reasons. So reasonal discussion or reasonal state inference, that is called conclusion. And final is the premises that will help you to do lots of problems in coming sections. So in an argument, the propositions upon which inference is based, the propositions that are claimed to provide grounds or reasons for the conclusion. So these are the few important uh, uh, definitions that was required to mention. Now this I'll elaborate a bit more why we need to study logic, because you can see, so logic builds mind. So these are, so the main point is that, so if you do some logical analysis, it will help in developing analytical skills. Analytical means analyzing power of something or some phenomena, some whatever you are seeing, observing. So those things, like in law, politics, journalism, education, and all the sectors, like this is logic is the thing that is required. You can go through these things. I will not go in detail in that way. So so logical further depends our understanding for philosophy, which can be defined as reasoning about the ultimate question of life. So these are all like gyan, you understand. So if you have studied philosophy, you will likely recognize some of the philosophical reasoning uh, in its book. If you don't have studied philosophy, you will find this book good in book a good introduction to the subject. In either case, you will get better at recognizing, understanding, and appraising philosophical reasoning. And finally, logical challenge your thinking. So, and in this way, it will likely help you to understand all the or analyze all the things that is going on beyond it. So, these are the things. Now, I'll come to some examples, very simple and trivial examples. First one is that you have overslept. If you oversleep, you will be late, and the phenomena or premises is that you are not late. So therefore, what will be the case? You did oversleep, you didn't oversleep, you are late, or none of the above follows. So what will be the thing? What will be the answer? The answer will be yes, you did oversleep. Okay. Hmm. The the premises are that if you overslept, you will be late, and you are not late. So the conclusion is that you did. That's why you are not late. So the answer is you did oversleep, or you didn't oversleep. What will be the answer?
No, sir.
Sorry.
No, sir.
Second one.
So second one,
You didn't
B.
oversleep.
Yes. Second one will be the case. That's what I was checking. So second one will be the case. You didn't oversleep, because the clause are that you if you oversleep, you will be late. So since you are not late, you didn't oversleep. Okay, so this will be the cross. Okay, so I can cross it now here. Sorry. Okay, so this will be the case. Okay, so the next one is just the opposite. That is, if you overslept, you will be late. So you didn't oversleep. So what will be the case here? This you can understand very easily. Like,
You oversleep, you will be late. You didn't oversleep,
yeah,
you oversleep, you will be late.
B.
B. B.
B or B. Okay.
A.
Okay. So the clause or the premises are that if you oversleep, you will be late. The clause premises are same. If you oversleep, you will be late. But the earlier case it was you are not late, and here you didn't oversleep. So what will be the thing that if you didn't oversleep, then you are not late. But here saying you are late. So this is first one is discarded. Second is saying you are not late. So you didn't oversleep. So obviously you are not late. Third one is that so third one is you did oversleep, but it is already given that you didn't oversleep. So all three are discarded. So the answer will be none of the follows. Right? Okay. So now I'm coming to the next part, that is validity. What is validity? Validity is about the way the premises relate to each other and the conclusion. So the relation between the premises that is given, and that will help you to reach out the final conclusion. This is a different concept from research validity.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Sir, sorry to
Okay.
interrupt. The second example which you gave just now, the answer should be B, right? And not the last one. None of the this. You didn't oversleep, so you are not late, correct? It's just the opposite of the premise statement.
Uh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. I think I have missed that. Yeah.
It is the second one. Yes, second one.
Yeah. It will be the second one. Of course.
It will be second one.
It will be the second one. Right. Right. You're right. So it will be. Cursor. So you are not late. So the answer will be you are not late. It is not the none of the above cases. Okay. So yeah, that's I think my fault. Actually, the answers were chosen in that way only, that so that you can figure out. So yeah, that's I missed maybe. Okay. So now I'm coming to
So,
the
but in
validity.
the discussion,
Yeah.
sir, in the
Yes.
previous question,
Mhm.
in the videos, it is said that if you dip the copper piece in the vinegar, it turns green. That was the case. It is like that. If you overslept, you will be late.
Yes,
It is
the
like that.
answer should be
So,
D. None of this is
No,
correct
uh,
no,
answer actually.
then it
Uh,
becomes, if you don't dip the copper in the vinegar, is it become like that? It will not be green. There are other reasons. It is not green. For many reasons it may not be green. For many reasons it may be green. But here, if you are not oversleep, you are not didn't oversleep doesn't mean that you are late. There are other reasons to be late.
right.
The reasoning will not work either ways. That is what
That is
in
true.
the video it was
Yes, the
said that the
answer
example
should be
was given
D.
was
So yeah.
the
So then
answer should be
answer should be D.
correct
Okay,
in
I
the answers.
understand. Yeah. So so for the first test, can you elaborate? For the first example,
Huh.
if you overslept, you will be late. So you are not late. So in that case, so what did the thing that we concluded? So so very correct or
No,
not?
no, that is the inference.
Yeah, it is
Then,
inference.
uh,
So can I elaborate?
yeah, uh,
Here, if we
yeah,
assume A is if you overslept and B is you are late, then not B means you are not late. So not B implies not A. But in the second question, A is oversleep and B is you are late. But not A does not implies not B. It is in the videos. It is explained in the
That is
videos.
true. That is true. That is true. That is correct. So maybe it is lack of my understanding, but yeah. So so I think it will be better if we come in this. So these are just taken as an example. So it will be better if we come to this in the later part, right? that will help us in uh, solving these problems in a better way. So we'll see what happens in all those cases. Okay. So
So
maybe,
then the option would have been like cannot say or cannot be determined. None of this cannot be option, right? The correct answer.
yeah. So
It could
but
have been cannot say or something like that. But yes,
yeah.
you
So
did not oversay. You are not. That could be one of the possible answers.
yeah, so none, so that's why it is none of this follows na. So it is not, you cannot derive from this the conclusion from these given clauses. So that's why it is none of the given above 3 points is valid. So none of this follows. I didn't, I mean,
But sir, it is also told that whatever means if A implies B and B implies A, then even though we know the in reality or just by our common sense that this could be the answer, but we should stick.
yeah, but I understand. But the problem is here the D. I mean, if none of these are following, if any the three of the point that is given, so that is not
Then let's
following.
say we
Then
have all set of options which will
yes,
exclusively comment on the say few questions from the assignment too. They are like that. Even though it implies from the common sense, sometimes it is. If we are ticking that using that, the answer is incorrect. But at
yeah, that's
other
where this
places, it is exactly opposite.
that's where these logical things, I mean logical reasoning and I mean solving different, the different techniques are there, right? Like this Venn diagram and also those are there. So that's where this those will help you to discard some the possibilities that are not valid, and you'll reach to this logical answer. So I think now we'll discuss that. We'll discuss these Venn diagrams and all probably in the next class, not today. So now I'll go further. I think I'll try to finish these things discussing. Okay. So these definitions and all this, I mean, I think that will be helpful. So what is validity? So you know now. Okay, so an argument is valid if it would be contradictory to have the premises all true and then conclusion is and the conclusion false. Valid doesn't say that the premises are true, but only that the conclusion follows from them. If the premises were all true, then the conclusion would have to be true. Like, right. So like if you overslept, you will be late. You are not late, so you didn't oversleep. So if A, then B valid. If not B, then that is not A. That we're discussing. If it is not B, then it is not A also. But if it is A, then it will be B. So if premises are all true, then the conclusion have to be true. But but the premises have to be true or I mean it cannot. I mean it cannot. It will be contradictory to have the premises are true and the conclusion is false. It cannot be. Like if the conclusion is true, then the premises are true, and the other way around. So another is that if you are in France, you are in Europe. If and you are not in France, so you are not in Europe. So like that. Now some examples. Example one is that valid but untrue. That is a deductive argument. So I'll come to inductive and deductive things. The first example is that if there is rainbow, flights get cancelled. So there is a rainbow now. So therefore flights are cancelled. So this is the first one. So these are valid and deductive. Second is all chili peppers are spicy. Tomatoes are chili pepper. So therefore tomatoes are spicy. So both of these arguments are valid even though the premises are completely made up. They relate to each other in a way where you can justifiably infer the conclusion. So conclusion can be justified by the interrelation between the first two premises that is given. So that's why These are valid. And I'm coming to the now the invalid deductive arguments. So all leopards have spots. My pet gecko has spots. So therefore, my pet gecko is a leopard. So these are invalidly, or rather, these these are invalid because these premises are not interrelated. Second one is all US presidents live in the White House. Barack Obama lived in the White House. Therefore, Barack Obama was a US president. It doesn't mean like, right? So that's why these arguments are invalid. Now I'm coming to the next part, soundness. An argument is sound only if it's valid and the premises are true. All invalid arguments are unsound. So for argument to be sound, the premises has to be true. The second one is if you begin with true premises and a valid argument, you are bound to come to true conclusion. So if your premises are true and the argument is true, valid, then you will reach to the right or true conclusion. Examples: sound deductive reasoning. First one is flights gets cancelled when there are extreme weather conditions. There are extreme weather conditions right now. So this is the premises. This is the fact, and the conclusion is therefore flights are cancelled. Second is all fruits are grown from flowers and contain seeds. Tomatoes are grown from flowers and contain seeds. Therefore, tomatoes are fruits. So, I mean, these are clear, right? Okay, now coming to some this kind of examples. I'm taking it from some book. The first one is some valid arguments contain only true proposition, true premises, and a true conclusion. So all mammals have lungs. All whales are mammals. So therefore, all whales have lungs. So the clause is some valid arguments contain only true propositions, true premises, and a true conclusion. So here you can see that there is a relation between the two premises. All mammals have lungs. All whales are mammals. So therefore, whales have lungs. Second one, some valid arguments contain only false propositions, false premises, and a false conclusion. Like all four-legged creatures have wings. All spiders have exactly four legs. Therefore, all spiders have wings. So although this argument is valid, but the propositions are false, and therefore the conclusions are false. So this argument is valid because if its premises were true, its conclusion would have to be true also, even though we know that in fact both the premises and the conclusion of the things are false. So now that is the case. Third one, some invalid arguments contain only true propositions. All their premises are true and therefore conclusions are true. So if I owned all the gold in Fort Knox, then I would be wealthy. I do not own all the gold in Fort Knox, therefore I am not wealthy. Okay. So the true conclusion of the argument does not follow from its true premises. This will be seen more clearly when the immediately following illustration is considered. Like so, there was illustration, so that is not given here. So, so you can understand, right? So the argument is invalid, but their propositions are true. So that's why. Uh, so this is not conclusive. I mean, this conclusion is true. The fourth one is some invalid arguments contain only true propositions and have a false conclusion. This is illustrated by an argument exactly like the previous one. So if Bill Gates owned all the golds in Fort Knox, then Bill Gates would be wealthy. Bill Gates does not own all the gold in Fort Knox, therefore Bill Gates is not wealthy. Now the conclusion is, you can see that is not true. So the premise of the argument is true, but the conclusion is false. Such an argument cannot be valid because it is impossible for the premises of a valid argument to be true and its conclusions to be false. Once the conclusion is false, then the premises cannot be true. It means that so these premises are false. That's why the conclusion is false as well. Next one, some valid arguments have false premises and a true conclusion. All fishes are mammals. All whales are fishes. Therefore, all whales are mammals. So the premises are all fishes are mammals. all whales are fishes. So here, if you notice, the conclusion of the argument is true. Therefore, the whales are mammals. As you know, moreover, it may be validly inferred from these premises because both of which are, I mean, false. The fishes are, I mean, so yeah. So now the next one is some invalid arguments also have false premises and true conclusion. Like first one is all mammals have, so in arguments are invalid and premises for are false, but the conclusion is true. All mammals have wings, all whales have wings, therefore the whales are mammals. All whales are mammals. So all whales are mammals, this conclusion is all whales are mammals. So this conclusion is true. Okay. Now all mammals have wings. This argument is false, and the premise that all whales have wings. This is also false. So that's, but that conclusion, or I mean, although this argument is invalid and the premise that is given, that is false, but even though it is coming with correct conclusion, that is whales are mammals. Now coming to the next one, some invalid arguments, of course, contain all false propositions. So propositions are all false, and an argument is invalid. So then the conclusion is also false. All mammals have wings. All whales have wings. Therefore, all mammals are whales. So the earlier case, it was all whales are mammals. But here you can see this is reverse. All mammals are whales. So this is also not true. So here the thing is, premises are invalid. Premises are false. Proposition is argument is invalid, and the conclusion is also false. So these are some kinds that you can see. So this can lead you to the true conclusion or false conclusion, irrespective of the whether the argument is valid or invalid, or this false or true. The premises. Now I'll come to this inductive and deductive reasoning that you will see. So this is very important. So basically, what is deductive reasoning? Deductive reasoning is, or deductive argument is, claims to be provide conclusive ground for its conclusion. It does not provide such grounds. It is valid. If it does not, it is invalid. So deductive argument comes from broader sample size to a single or to a single conclusion. An inductive argument is just the opposite. An inductive argument claims that its premises give only some degree of probability, but not certainly to its conclusion. So in that case, this is just the opposite. So basically, what is the case? These are generally, so inductive
Specific to
is,
general.
yeah,
Specific to
specific
general.
to general. That is the case for inductive, but for the
Inductive.
deductive case, it
Opposite.
is
The
yeah,
general
general
to
to specific. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So now some definitions or some different section that is there for this inductive reasoning. There is generalized inductive and predictive. In case of generalized, you can see one example. There are total 20 apples and orange. But I will out of five. Four apples and one orange. There are 6 apples and 4 orange in the basket. So this is generalized reasoning. But for predictive inductive reasoning is, most baseball players become coaches. Eduardo is a baseball player, so he'll be a coach. So this is pretty generalized thing, so that you understand now. Now for the deductive cases, what is the deductive? That is the opposite. You know, in a simple deductive logic argument, you'll often begin with a premise and add another premise. Then you'll go to a conclusion. So deductive is, you are analyzing a thing, and depending upon the facts and clause and reasonings, you are coming to derivation, a specific derivation. So this is the fact, or this is, you can state at that point. So this is the premise conclusion. So that is the case for deductive. This is from very general to coming to this very specific conclusion. So premise is all insects have exactly 6 legs, and premise and second is spiders have 8 legs. So therefore, spiders are not insects. Okay. So these are the what will I say exception, and so then the conclusion is that spiders are not insects. Second is blue litmus paper turns red in the presence of acid, and second consecutive is blue litmus paper turned red after I dropped some liquid on it. So therefore, the liquid is acidic. So okay, so I think your conclusion is coming based upon this reasoning and deduction. So now deductive reasoning starts with a general assumption and applies logic and then tests the logic and let's come to this final conclusion. So logically, there are two parts again: logically sound and logically unsound. Sound, how we have read. Now the logically sound deductive reasoning is all dogs have ears. Golden retrievers are dogs, so therefore they have ears. Okay, so this is logically sound. Okay, all racing cars must go over 8 mile per hour. So the Dodge Charge is a racing car, therefore it can go over 80 mile per hour. Third one is the Christmas is always on December 25th, 2 days December 25th, so therefore it is 2 days Christmas. These are all logically sound. For logically unsound thing, all zebras have stripes, tigers have stripes, so therefore tigers are zebras. So these are logically unsound. This ground is wrong. 4th of July always has fireworks. Today there are fireworks, so therefore it's 4th of July. Carrots are oranges, therefore oranges are carrots. So I mean, even understand, like, so they're logically unsound. Now, three parts of there of deductive reasoning is there, that is syllogism, modus ponens, and modus tollens. So you have read these things in the sir I've described already. I'll just state one by one. What is syllogism? Syllogism is probably the most simple of these three types of the deductive reasoning. And so it simply says that when A is B and B is C, then A is C. It takes two separate clauses and connects them together. A is more creative example. A more creative example would be a puma is a cat. Cats are mammals, so therefore pumas are mammals. So these are syllogism. Second is coming is modus ponens. Modus ponens is when a when a deduction is presented in a conditional statement proven by subsequent clauses. Okay, so for example, every player on a Boston Celtics is between the age of 21 and 31. Jason Tatum is on the Boston Celtics, so therefore he must be within that age limit. So that is the modus ponens. So uh, so it's presented a conditional statement proven by subsequent clauses. So now modus tollens is the opposite of a modus ponens. Whereas the latter affirms a conditional statement, the former refutes it. For example, the freezing point of water is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It is hotter than 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so water will not freeze. Okay, so it is not so the conclusion is that so the second argument is that is refuting the first one. So the freezing point of the water is 32. It is hotter than the 32 Fahrenheit, so water will not freeze. So, okay, so these are the few examples of this modus ponens and modus tollens. Now, uh, this is the part that I will not stress, but this is important. I'll just tell very quickly that deductive reasoning in research. So deductive reasoning is commonly used in scientific research for associative and quantitative research that it describes. So in research, you might have come across something called hypothetical deductive method, like hypothesis, then deduction, and then coming to the conclusion. So as an example, you can say that when you do some work or do some project, you will first your work is an organizational researcher as a at a large insurance organization. So currently the organization is dealing with increasing levels of employees burnout, and you are tasked with finding a solution to this problem. Here are the general steps for deductive research. So these are your parameters. So select a research problem and create a problem statement. then develop falsifiable hypothesis, collect your data, analyze the dataset, and deduce whether you reject or a null hypothesis, like you are accepting the your hypothesis that is correct or wrong. So that is the deductive, that is the part in research that is generally employed for this all kind of research things. Now, what is the advantages and disadvantages of this inductive reasoning? I'll just state one by one. There are lots of them for both inductive as well as in the deductive cases. So for the inductive cases, you have seen that is for research purpose, always deductive reasoning is important. But here I will show some importance for the accuracy. When you have a big number of sample set, and then inductive reasoning is always help or highly accurate in developing the ideas. But that is the cons also in that case. How is that? Because when you generalize a bigger number of samples, so the pros in terms that it will help you generalize or give a statement based upon a large number of samples. But in case of that might be true or false. So that is the cons actually. When once it is false, you are generalizing based upon a large number of data sets. So in that case, this is false. So that is a drawback of that thing. The broader sample size is another thing, and targeted investigation. But whereas for the cons, so these are like accuracy is not accurate, incorrect conclusion, that is another derivation of this accuracy, and stereotyping. Stereotyping is like the is reasoning leads to a stereotyping and unnatural assumptions about propulsions like populations that have not been directly examined, as in the case. So we have not even examined all the data sets, but we are concluding towards a generalized thing. So now that is a stereotype. So I mean basically the same thing, but these are the different kind of parameters or different kind of taglines, or we can say. So these are the cons. Okay. Now advantage and disadvantage for this deductive reasoning. Obviously, this is the most prominent, and there are many. So pros are like certainty, clarity, validity, generality, efficiency, objectivity, and testability. And cons of this deductive reasoning are limited to logical mathematical subjects. So pros, I think you understand. The cause is the problematic. So the deductive method is most effective in subjects that are based on logical reasoning. Okay. Second one is the lack of someone unmuted want to say something. Okay, then please mute. Lack of creativity, as the deductive method follows a set of rules and procedures. It can be seen as a rigid and inflexible method. It may stifle creativity and discourage students from thinking outside the box. So this is the case that when you are logically thinking, then that's something out of the box or something new that is not probable based upon our past experiences or past reasons, but still some kind of serendipitous finding that happens, that has happened in the research always. So that kind of thing might be restricted in case of deductive reasoning. Third one is limited to factual information. The method is based on the facts and logical reasoning, which makes it reliable and objective. However, the method may not be suitable for subjects that rely more on personal opinion and subjective interpretation. So it is basically subject to subject variation, when in that case, this is not fact based, but rather when the subject is changing, this is also changing. But in that case also we are deriving to the conclusion based upon those known facts. So that's why we are not changing that. So that is a limitation. Now, limited to premises, the validity of a deductive argument is dependent on the truth of its premises. If the premises are false, the conclusion is also false, regardless of the logical form of argument. This means that deductive reasoning is limited by accuracy of information and assumption used as premises. Okay. Now, assumes complete knowledge. Deductive reasoning assumes that the person making the argument has complete knowledge of subject at hand and all relevant information. In reality, this assumption is only is often not made, leading to invalid conclusions. So the thing is that assumptions is taken as knowledge, and that is not, that is leading to the conclusion that is, although these are related and coming actually interconnected based upon the premises and the arguments, but the conclusion is actually invalid, although those are dependent upon that. But that is, since we are following those set of rules for this reasoning, although it is logically correct, but it is the conclusion is actually invalid. Some The last point is, can overlook alternatives. Deductive reasoning can lead to overlooking alternative possibilities and perspectives, as it focuses on reaching a single logical conclusion based upon given premises. So there might be some residual parts or some derivative parts apart from a true or single conclusion. So in that case, that might be overlooked. So these are the some drawbacks. Although I would say that deductive reasoning is the fact that we employ in scientific research that is the most helpful for this kind of things. Okay. Now I'll directly. I think we have discussed enough. There are many parts that I will that is left in today's discussion that I'll I'd like to discuss in the next section or the next day. Mostly these those things, that is this Venn diagram, the problem solving depending on this Venn diagram, that is very important, and some questions are there also in the second assignment that is there that we have solved also. But so that we'll discuss in the next section. Today we will discuss only the answers of these assignments and the Venn diagrams, and there are some other techniques, that the star method. So all these things that we will discuss in the next segment. Okay, so I'll directly come to this assignment part of the second assignment. So these were the question, that first question, that if it is given that if copper is dipped in vinegar, then copper turns green. So the answer, that was the problem, right? So you can understand now, this is a multiple answers are there. So the answer that is given is okay. So options, let me see first. If copper is not dipped in vinegar, then copper does not turn green. So the clue or the premises is, if copper is dipped in vinegar, then copper turns green. The first one is saying, if copper is not dipped in vinegar, then copper does not turn green. Second one is, if copper turn green, then it must have been dipped in vinegar. Third one is, if copper did not turn green, then copper was not dipped in vinegar. If copper is dipped in vinegar, then copper must turn green. So let me see the answers. The answer is, if copper did not turn green, then copper was not dipped in vinegar. So that is the point number. If copper did not turn green, then it was not dipped in vinegar, because the argument is that, or the premise is that, if copper dipped in vinegar, then copper turns green. Okay, so it is evident that if copper did not turn green, then copper was not dipped in vinegar. Second is, if copper is dipped in vinegar, then copper must turn green, because this is directly we can derive, right? If copper is dipped in vinegar, then copper must turn green. So that is the case. That is the last one. That is true. Now the tricky part is that, if copper did not turn green, then copper was not dipped in vinegar. So I think this is clear now, but still I'll try to describe it in more detail in the maybe in the next week. Now an interesting question is coming, that you can see that if the concentration of CFC, or the chlorofluorocarbon in the air, exceeds a threshold, there will be a hole in the ozone layer. Statement 2. if there is a hole in the ozone layer, a large amount of ultraviolet radiation will reach Earth's surface. Ultraviolet radiation causes cancer. So, what conclusion can you draw using valid logic if the following is given is also given? There is an increase in CFC in air beyond the threshold. Okay, so there's an increase in CFC in the air beyond the threshold. Okay, so what is given? The first is given that if concentration of CFC exceeds a threshold, there will be a hole in the ozone layer. Secondly, so it, I mean, now anyone can explain what can be the what what or what will be the.
So for the first question, can you please explain why first two options cannot be the answer?
Sorry.
Because all the statements or the options for question number one more or less means the same. So why only option three and four? Why not first two? Even though it is multiple selection.
Yeah, that's what I said. No? So when once I'll describe all those methods, and it will be easier for you to understand. So that I'll do in the next class or the next session. So that will be helpful. That's why I'm reserving that question for now. So
Okay,
we'll
okay.
discuss that. Yeah.
What is the answer, Chandra?
Sorry.
Chandra, what is the answer? Third and fourth, is it?
Okay. So that also I'm just asking. So describe yourself. I mean, whatever you understand. So based upon that, we'll see what is the answer. Uh, okay. I mean, I'll show you what is the answer. The answer is there is a hole in the ozone layer. So that is the first one. And second one is the incidence of cancer has increased. So are you okay with that or any confusion based upon the conclusion? So there is an increase in the CFC in the air beyond the threshold. It means since CFC is increased, so there is a hole in the ozone layer. Therefore, it is saying that the concentration of CFC of air exceeds only when there is a hole. So it means there is a hole in the ozone layer because CFC is increased beyond the threshold. Second one is death rate is increased. So what they have mentioned that if there is a hole in the ozone layer, a large amount of ultraviolet radiation will reach Earth's surface and ultraviolet cause cancer. But it is not directly saying that, but death rate is increased, but it can be related to something else. So that's why it can be discarded. Third one is there is a very small amount of ultraviolet radiation in Earth's surface. So if it is a small amount of radiation, then CFC wouldn't have been increased beyond the threshold. So then these second and third can be discarded, and the fourth one and the first one, the incidence of the cancer is increased, can be accepted, and that is the answer. Now, I mean, you have seen that this same question is same sort of statements are there. Only the arguments and the premises have been changed. So the statements are same. If the concentration of CFC in the air exceeds threshold, there will be hole in the ozone layer. If there is a hole in the ozone layer, a larger amount of UV radiation will reach Earth's surface. Ultraviolet radiation causes cancer. Now, what conclusion can you draw using? Are you saying anything?
Let's please mute your.
Okay. Okay. Please mute yourself. Dhanashree, please mute yourself. Dhanashree, can you hear us? Hello.
Sir, I think you can mute her, sir.
Sorry.
So you can on your side mute her. I think she's not aware
Okay.
that she's on. Like,
It's okay, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So the what conclusion can you draw using the valid logic if following premises are there? And the premises is a statistical survey showed that the incidence of cancer has increased. Okay. Now, incidence of cancer has increased. It means that it is directly related to UV ray, and UV ray is related to ozone layer, and ozone layer is related to CFC. Okay. Now, see. So the first thing is that there is an increase in CFC in the air beyond the threshold. Second is there is a hole in the ozone layer. Third is there is a very large amount of UV radiation in on Earth's surface. So the answer that is given is none of the above. Why is that? So let me clarify first. There is an increase in the CFC in the air beyond the threshold. A statistical what conclusion can you draw? A statistical survey showed that that the incidence of cancer has increased. So once cancer has increased, it uh, it can be related to UV or it might not. Okay. Therefore, there is a hole in the ozone layer. So since cancer has so the premises that is given uh, that cancer has increased, since they are not concluding that it is related to this phenomena of this UV radiation, so then these other points are becoming illogical. Okay, now there is a increase in CFC, there is a hole in ozone layer, there is a very large amount of UV. So this would have been true once they could have concluded something that is related to any of the phenomena. Since now none of these are related, so that's why they are concluding that none of the above are correct. Because cancer can also happen from some other phenomena as well. It is not limited to this phenomena only. Okay.
So which
Sir,
method should we use?
sir,
Sorry.
ultraviolet is also one of the reason to increase
The
cancer.
third statement, sir. UV rays
Third
causes
statement.
cancer is a third statement. So which method should we use? Venn diagram or like
Yeah, I
how do
think
you come to
in
this
this.
conclusion?
Yeah, I think Venn diagram will not help here that much, but I think it is better if we discuss all these things in the next section. First, we describe
Okay,
all
sir.
these methods,
Okay, that will
then
be better.
discuss
Yes.
these questions will be better. So I think in that case, I think we can conclude today, right? I think that will be
Particularly in
helpful
this
for you.
perspective,
Yes,
I
sir.
think
Because
that
look,
third
unit two
one
is
is
very
correct answer.
confusing.
Sir, hello. I
Uh,
think we must sure about the concept. We must clear the concept behind it because it is
yeah,
all
that's what
confusing.
that's why I'm saying. Yeah.
Because
So
uh,
once
Because
I
we are
describe all these,
discussing the things based on these premises, and based on these
yes,
premises,
correct,
third should
correct,
be the clear correct answer.
yes,
yes, correct.
because
That's what
all
I'm.
the questions they are based on the premises. It's not like that the cancer will cause with some
Yeah,
other
it is.
elements or some factors. Not that. These are all the confusion inference we draw on the basis of the premises of the statement given.
I understand. And that's what I'm saying.
Based on
So
these
Yeah. Because the
sentences,
mission
a
has
statistical survey showed that the incident cancer has increased. So based on these premises, we can conclude third one only.
yeah, the ultraviolet they are responsible.
I understand. I understand. Okay, so that's why I'm
Presence of
saying that
CFC,
I am I
But
understand
the
your
answer is
conclusion.
none of
So
the above, na, sir. So that is how it is
the,
correct.
the
None
answer
of
is
the
none
above.
of the above. Okay, that is okay. That is fair. But so that's why I'm saying that we'll discuss about these different methods to derive this kind of problems or tackle this kind of problems. Then only we'll discuss all these things. Okay, Venn
Oh,
diagrams and the star methods and all
okay.
these things.
That will be
We'll
nice. Yeah.
discuss first. Yeah. Okay. So then I'm concluding for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Maybe other tiers, those they might also discuss all these things. I don't know how they are preparing for this week. They might discuss some Venn diagram and all, but I'll discuss all these Venn diagrams and these different methods for tackling these problems in the next week, and then we'll solve these problems in the next week also. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you all. Sharing. Yeah, Rohit.
Sir, I have one doubt. When the next lecture, our next lecture will be going. Is it tomorrow or next week?
See, so in every week there are three lectures. Okay, so
Yes.
for mine will be again the next Saturday. So one is
Okay.
there in tomorrow, and other is there in on next coming Tuesday. So there are three
Okay.
total. Okay.
Okay. Oh, so remaining questions we will see in the next lecture.
I'll discuss because all three of us are discussing in different ways. So I
Yes.
don't know
Yes. Yes.
how they are preparing. So I'll discuss all this in the next
Yes,
lecture.
because that these questions are very confusing type of one.
Yes,
Explanation
yes,
is more explanation is needed for that.
yeah.
So
That's why these methods will be more useful for
yes,
me.
yes, yes. In
Yes,
detailed explanation as well as more examples, so that very we can get more from that.
yes, correct.
Yes. Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.